After hosting a charity gala for my husband's new foundation, I found his mistress introducing herself as the real first lady of his company. When I pulled him aside, he smirked and said, "You're just a placeholder." I didn't cause a scene. I waited until the auction began and unveiled every dirty secret live on stage, watching donors pull their checks as he begged me to stop. I'm 47. I've lived in Westport, Connecticut for the last 18 years. I used to think my life was pretty normal. Married to a man who built his own company from the ground up. We had 2 daughters, a nice house with a pool, and I thought we were a team. I wasn't a naive woman. I wasn't one of those people who ignored red flags. I just didn't think they applied to me. I had known Elliot since we were both broke and scared in our 20s. I supported him when he had nothing. I watched him try and fail more than once. And when things finally started working, I thought I could breathe. But success changes people. Or maybe it just lets you see who they really are. Elliot started making real money around 2021. His tech firm got a huge boost during COVID when remote work made his software more in demand. Clients started pouring in, investors started calling, and he turned into someone I barely recognized. He started traveling more. Said it was for conferences and meetings. The first time he stayed in LA for an extra 4 days and didn't pick up my calls, I knew something was off. But when he came home, he bought me a necklace and acted like nothing happened. I let it go. I told myself he was just under pressure. Then came the foundation. He wanted to start something for the community. He told me it would be a legacy. He called it the Elliot Ramsey Future Leaders Foundation. A nonprofit to help underprivileged kids learn tech skills and get into college. I helped with everything. Designing the branding, picking the board members, finding the event planner for the launch gala. I did most of it myself, unpaid. He said I was the heart behind the mission. I believed him. The gala was set for March 2nd at the Delamar Hotel in Southport. Fancy place. Crystal chandeliers, waiters in tuxedos, valet parking only. We had over 180 guests coming, including some major donors, a senator's aide, and the mayor of Stamford. This wasn't just a fundraiser. It was a launch party for Elliot's new public image. I picked out a navy silk gown 2 weeks ahead. Got my hair done that afternoon. Made sure everything was running smooth behind the scenes. I knew the schedule down to the second. I thought the worst part of the night would be the donor dinner speeches. I was wrong. We stood at the entrance of the ballroom, greeting people. Elliot had on his usual fake smile. He was good at looking like the loving husband. Shaking hands, posing for pictures, making jokes about being the lucky guy married to the real boss. And then, she walked in. She was tall, maybe 5 feet 10 inches in heels, wearing a red satin dress that didn't leave much to the imagination. Thin, long blonde hair, big fake lashes, glossy lips. She walked in like she owned the room. I didn't know who she was. I thought maybe she was someone's assistant or a date of one of the donors. She walked right up to us. Looked me up and down like I was her waitress. And said, "Hi. I'm Haley. The real First Lady of Ramsey Tech." She smirked. Then walked right past me and kissed my husband on the cheek. I was frozen. A few people around us chuckled awkwardly. Some didn't even hide their shock. One of Elliot's board members stared at the floor. No one said anything. I turned to Elliot. I thought maybe he'd deny it, or laugh it off, or at least show some shame. He didn't. He just leaned in and whispered, "We'll talk later. Let's keep this night professional." I didn't say a word. I nodded. I walked to our table and poured myself a glass of wine. I smiled when people approached. I laughed at someone's joke. I took photos for social media. All while my heart was pounding. When dinner started, I excused myself and found him by the side bar. I pulled him into the hallway by the catering area. "What the hell is going on?" I asked. He didn't even blink. He didn't even pretend to be confused. He just looked me in the eye and said, "You're just a placeholder, Anna." It was always going to end this way. I felt like my ears were ringing. I remember gripping the wall because I thought I might fall. He walked back in like he hadn't just gutted me. I stood there for a few minutes. Then something shifted. I wasn't going to cry. Not tonight. Not here. Not in front of these people. I went back to our table. I sat next to him. I smiled. I had a plan. See, what Elliot didn't know is that I had access to every financial document related to the foundation. He didn't care about that stuff, he let me and the accountant handle the reporting. And over the last 6 months, I'd started noticing things. Wire transfers to unknown companies. Huge expenses marked as consulting fees. Big-name donors who thought their money was going to scholarships but whose checks were rerouted. And Haley? She was listed as a consultant. $11,000 per month. Plus travel reimbursements. Flights to Miami, New York, Cabo. Charges at hotels, spas, and designer stores. All billed through the foundation. I had printed everything. Not just the transfers. The receipts. The emails. The Instagram posts that matched the dates. Even the flagged memo from his own CFO warning that mixing foundation and company money could be a felony. I printed it all. Put it in a portfolio. Had it ready in the auction room just in case. Now I knew why. The auction started at 8:15 p.m. The room went dark, a spotlight hit the stage, and I walked up with the mic in my hand. Elliot thought I was going to give the standard thank you speech. I wasn't. "Good evening," I said. "Thank you for being here tonight. Before we open the silent auction, I'd like to share a few things we've discovered along the way in creating this foundation." I clicked the first slide. A smiling photo of me and Elliot on the Bridgeport school visit. The crowd clapped. Then I clicked again. Slide 3, the donor ledger. 2 major donations rerouted through a fake LLC before entering the foundation's account. The LLC was owned by his cousin Mark, a man who'd been indicted twice. Slide 4, an internal warning email from his CFO. Misuse of funds. Potential felony charges. Risk of IRS audit. Someone near the front stood up. "I gave you $100,000, Elliot." Elliot grabbed the mic from my hand. "She's unstable. She's twisting this. She's trying to ruin me because I moved on." I took the mic back. "No. I'm showing these people the truth. You cheated on your wife, lied to your board, and stole from your donors." He lunged for the mic again. Security stepped in. The room was chaos. Donors stood up and started arguing. Some were on their phones. One woman screamed, "Get me my damn check back." The mayor's aide disappeared. Haley had already vanished. And Elliot? He just stood there, sweating through his $3,000 suit, looking like a ghost. As people stormed out, I looked him dead in the eyes and said, "I stayed quiet for 19 years. That was your mistake." After the gala, everything moved fast. The next morning, Elliot was all over local news. Westport Tech CEO accused of foundation fraud during live gala meltdown. A video clip of me speaking on stage went viral on Twitter. Someone had recorded it. The footage showed me calmly listing off the fraudulent payments while Elliot stood behind me, red-faced and sputtering. By the end of the day, it was on YouTube, LinkedIn, even Facebook. It spread like fire. He tried calling me. I didn't answer. He emailed me twice. "You made your point. Now stop. Don't take this any further." I didn't respond. He didn't understand. I hadn't even started yet. What he didn't know was that 2 days before the gala, I had spoken to a lawyer. A real shark. Divorce and corporate fraud. She told me exactly what documents to pull, what to back up, and how to do it without leaving a trail. I had a flash drive with everything. Copies of his emails, financial records, his calendar appointments, travel expenses, even flagged reports from the foundation's treasurer. She also told me something that made my blood run cold. If any donor money had crossed over into personal or business accounts, and he signed for it, that was fraud. Federal fraud. Jail time. I didn't want to send the father of my children to prison. At least, I didn't think I did. But when I saw the video of Haley calling herself the real First Lady on someone's TikTok and read the comment section full of laughing strangers, something in me snapped. He humiliated me. In public. With our daughters watching from home. Yes, I said. And if he says he didn't, I have proof he did. He leaned back in his chair and sighed. You realize once I turn this over to the board, we'll have to report it to the Attorney General's office. I'm counting on it, I said. A week later, Ramsey Tech lost its biggest contract. Then another. Then the board of the foundation voted unanimously to dissolve it. Publicly. With a statement that named Elliot directly. Haley deleted all her social media. Then the twist came. I was packing up boxes at the house when a man in a suit knocked on the door. He introduced himself as a federal investigator. Turns out someone had already filed a complaint. Not me. Not any of the donors. Haley. She had filed a whistleblower claim with the IRS. She was trying to save herself. She told them Elliot forced her to submit fake invoices, threatened to cut her off if she didn't go along with it, and even coached her on what to say if anyone asked. She painted herself as a victim, young, manipulated, in over her head. The agent asked if I'd be willing to share what I had. I handed over the flash drive. A week later, Elliot was subpoenaed. The same night he showed up at the house. It was raining. He looked like hell. Wet suit, bloodshot eyes, smelled like whiskey. I didn't let him in. I stood in the doorway while he pleaded. You got what you wanted, he said. You destroyed me. I didn't say a word. I can't get work. I can't get meetings. I'm a joke now. You made me into a joke. I looked him dead in the eyes. No, Elliot. You made yourself into a joke. I just gave people the punchline. Then I shut the door. But the story wasn't done yet. Because 2 days later, I found out about the trust. He had set up a secret trust account 3 years ago, hidden under a shell corporation in Delaware. Millions of dollars. Moved out of the business and into a private fund. It wasn't in our financial statements. It wasn't listed on our taxes. And I never knew it existed. Until a woman from the bank, who used to work for us, sent me a tip. Check Harborview Holdings, she said. The trustee listed isn't him. It's Haley. When I heard the name Harborview Holdings, I knew it wasn't just some shell account. I remembered it from a dinner Elliot had with a venture capitalist in Greenwich 2 years back. He brushed it off like it was a short-term side project. I didn't ask questions then. I trusted him. I let it go. Now I was starting to see the full picture. The trust account under Harborview Holdings had over $4.3 million in it. And the trustee wasn't Elliot. It was Haley. She had control. Legal control. That meant she could move funds, invest, even cash out. I didn't even understand how that was possible. Until I talked to my lawyer. Turns out, Elliot had transferred the money over time, claiming it was early retirement planning and investment income from side business ventures. Because the money technically didn't go through our shared accounts, he thought he was in the clear. But there was one problem: we were still legally married. And I never signed off on any of it. Which meant if he moved community assets into a secret fund and tried to hide it during divorce, it counted as fraudulent conveyance. That's a felony if proven. Civil and criminal. My lawyer filed a motion to freeze the account immediately. Then we subpoenaed the trust documents. And that's when it got worse. Haley wasn't just listed as trustee. She was also named as sole beneficiary if anything happened to Elliot. If he died, the entire $4.3 million would go to her. Tax-free. The man I gave 19 years of my life to had put his mistress in charge of a secret fund, signed it over to her if he dropped dead, and left me and our daughters out of everything. And it gets worse. The same night we filed the motion, my lawyer got a call from a contact at the bank who'd reviewed the trust documents. She found a clause that made everything clearer. In the event of marriage dissolution, this trust shall not be subject to division and shall remain in full control of the designated trustee. That meant he set this up in case we ever divorced. He planned for this. Not only that, he had protected Haley in the paperwork. The clause stated that any legal spouse of Elliot Ramsey shall hold no interest, real or implied, in the trust property. He had cut me out before we were even done. I sat in my lawyer's office, staring at that clause, and something inside me broke open. This wasn't about money anymore. It was about war. So I did something I never thought I would. I reached out to Haley. I messaged her through a burner Instagram account. She had gone silent after the gala but hadn't deleted her page completely. I knew she was still checking her DMs because her story views were going up. So I sent her a message: if you think Elliot's going to protect you, you're wrong. You're just insurance. I have proof. Want to see it? She didn't respond for 2 days. Then she sent me an email. A burner Gmail. No name. No greeting. Just one line: meet me in person. Neutral place. No lawyers. We met in the parking lot of a Panera in Norwalk. She showed up in sunglasses, hood up, jittery as hell. I didn't smile. I didn't pretend to be friendly. I handed her a manila folder with the trust documents, the clause that protected Elliot, not her, and an email he had sent to his lawyer, calling her a disposable trustee with no long-term risk. She stared at the papers. Her lips tightened. He said I'd be taken care of, she whispered. No, I said. He said that to get you to lie for him. You're a name on a line. Nothing more. She didn't argue. She didn't cry. She just nodded. Then she reached into her bag and pulled out a flash drive. Here, she said. Everything he told me to delete. Emails, memos, tax stuff. All of it. And just like that, we became temporary allies. The flash drive Haley gave me changed everything. It had internal emails between her and Elliot. Emails where he told her how to fake invoices, create backdated receipts, and shred anything that mentioned double billing. There were also recordings. Voice memos he sent her, bragging about how no one's gonna audit a charity for poor kids, and calling the board members spineless tax write-off types. He even joked in one recording, "I'll cry for a month, then take half and go decorate a beach house or something." I didn't cry. I didn't take half. I took everything. My lawyer called the IRS tip line directly. She said, "You're going to want to take a look at this before someone else does." We sent the full packet to the Attorney General, the State Department of Revenue Services, and every board member Elliot had ever worked with. And then I filed for divorce. Not quietly. We filed in open court, not sealed, because I wanted it to be public. I knew reporters were already watching. The gala footage had spread, and local news stations were doing special segments on charity fraud among elite entrepreneurs. A week after the paperwork was filed, the IRS formally opened an investigation. 2 days after that, the FBI showed up at Ramsey Tech. They didn't knock gently. They walked out with boxes. Computers. Servers. His assistant's laptop. They even took the security camera backups. And by the next morning, the board voted to remove Elliot as CEO, citing breach of fiduciary duty. His face was all over the news. Westport CEO under federal investigation for fraud, embezzlement. He tried to go on damage control. He went on a podcast, someone from a startup magazine, saying I was bitter and emotionally unstable. That I was trying to destroy him out of spite. But 2 days later, the podcast pulled the episode. They posted an apology. Because more emails came out. This time from his VP of Finance, who'd decided to flip to save herself. She showed how Elliot had personally moved money into fake contractor accounts, then withdrawn it as reimbursement. Over $900,000. They arrested him at 6:17 a.m. on a Tuesday. Right in front of our old neighbors. It was raining again, like the night he told me I ruined him. This time, he was barefoot in gym shorts, hands cuffed behind him, shoved into the back of a black SUV. He was indicted on 6 federal charges. Wire fraud. Tax evasion. Embezzlement. Obstruction. Money laundering. Conspiracy. Each one carried real time. While he was being processed, I got a call from the bank. The court had granted my emergency motion. The $4.3 million trust account was frozen, and because he'd named Haley as a non-family beneficiary during marriage without disclosing it, I was entitled to half under Connecticut law. Haley's name was removed as trustee. And that's when I did something that surprised even me. I met her one last time. She looked like a wreck. Pale. No makeup. No heels. She sat across from me in that same Panera and said, "Are you here to gloat?" "No," I said. "I'm here to give you a deal." I offered her a $50,000 settlement. A clean check. In exchange, she'd sign a statement detailing her involvement, her knowledge of the fraud, and confirming that Elliot had told her to lie. She stared at me. Then asked, "Why would you do that?" And I told her the truth. Because you were dumb, but he was worse. He built his kingdom off the backs of people who trusted him, including you. You were a pawn. I was a wife. I want to make sure neither of us gets played again. She signed. I used part of the trust money to pay back every single donor who requested a refund. Quietly. Personally. Some of them cried. One woman hugged me. A local paper ran a story, the wife who cleaned up her husband's mess. It wasn't meant to be noble. It was meant to show them I was nothing like him. Elliot's trial dragged on for months. His bail was denied twice. Too many accounts, too much missing money, too many witnesses flipping. He cried in court. Real tears. His lawyer begged for a reduced sentence. Claimed mental health struggles. Claimed I humiliated him into breakdown. The judge didn't care. He got 11 years in federal prison. They froze all his accounts. Seized the second house. Liquidated his stocks. The court ordered him to pay restitution. He'll never recover. Not in this lifetime. As for me? I moved out of Westport. Sold the house. Took my daughters and relocated to Burlington, Vermont. Quiet town. Good people. We rent a house for now, even though I could buy 3. I didn't want another mansion. I wanted peace. And for once, I finally got it. I started working again. Took a job at a nonprofit that teaches coding to women re-entering the workforce. I don't run it. I don't sit on a board. I just show up, do my job, and go home. And you know what? That's enough. The worst part of the whole story is that I let it go on so long. I saw the signs. I ignored them. I wanted the family, the dream, the life. But sometimes, you have to let it all fall apart to see what was fake. He used me. And then he tried to replace me. Now he sits in a cell while I live free. I'm not a placeholder anymore. I'm the one who closed the book.